In this video, we'll be talking about how to communicate with our customers through the SysAid system. We want our communications to be attached to the tickets, so that way, if we review somebody else's ticket, we can see exactly what they've been discussing. So first, we'll go down to my name here, and we'll pick one of my tickets. And you can see most of my tickets are in a status of either postponed or on hold. And this is because at the time of this recording, our campus is actually closed due to the coronavirus. But if I wanted to leave a note or to communicate with Robert that this was being postponed, this ticket, I'd scroll down under the General Details tab. Scroll down, we're going to see technical notes right here. Now, technical notes are just for us, right? It's a great way to remind yourself of where you left off at the end of the day, or maybe just to detail what it is you did that on this ticket. That way, if somebody else were to look at it, they can see what you've already done. So we don't want the technical notes because the customer is not going to be able to see that. But if we keep scrolling, we'll see this other field of notes. And we have two options. We have recent and all. Now here we only have the one note, so if we click on all notes, nothing's going to change. But if we had more, then obviously recent notes will just be the recents, and when we click on all, we can see all of them. If we wanted to add a new note in this field, we'd come all the way over here to the right and click on new. That's going to open up a little pop-up here, and we can type a note in. So I could say that this is being postponed until campus reopens. And when I click add, it's going to add that ticket. It's going to add that note, and it's also going to email what I typed to the customer. I'm not going to click add right now. Click cancel. But this is really just a one-way communication, this area right here. The customer can respond to that email you send them, but it's not his response or her response isn't going to show up right here. To see the response, we have to go up to the history tab, which is this guy right here. Once we're in the history tab, we come down and we're going to want to scroll until we see messages. And this is a perfect example of showing you recent versus all. You can see here we're under the recent messages, and we have 1, 2, 3 recent messages, but if we click on all messages, it'll show us all 5, and even if we don't click on it, it shows us how many messages there are. So this is where Robert's response would show up, if he did respond to the note. But maybe I wanted to send him a message directly. I'm not trying to add notes or anything. I have a question about the ticket. In order to send him a direct message, I just come over here and I find where it shows his email. And in this case, it's pretty much under most of these too. So you have to be careful. Notice this is somebody else's MEID. If I were to click on that guy, it's going to open up an email field, but it's going to send it to the wrong person. So we just want to make certain that we're selecting the correct MEID, and to do that, you hover your cursor over the email address here under the to field, and you just check the MEID and make sure it's right. So this is for Robert, it's his MEID, so I click on that, and it's going to open up a field for the email that we want to type out. But if we look at the very top field up here under method, we aren't restricted to just email. We also have SMS, which is text messaging, or instant message. 99.9% of the time, though, we're going to be working with the default of email. And we can also change in the next field from who's it coming from? Is it coming from the Maricopa Help Desk, or do we want to show it as coming from our personal email? Now, if I were to select from Devin Young, the message is still going to show up in the ticket. It's just the from field on the email when Robert receives it is going to show my personal. It's not going to show Maricopa Help Desk. So again, 99.9% of the time, I leave this as the default as well. I can also CC other people in on the email. If I wanted to include maybe Robert's supervisor in on our communications, I can do that. And it has an auto-filled subject as well, but we can always change it if we want to. Now, personally, it looks like an auto-generated subject because it is an auto-generated subject. And I know that some people, if they have a position where they're constantly looking at emails, they're reading them all day long, sending them off, if they see an email come in that looks like this, there's a high possibility that they're not even going to look at it. They're going to assume it's some auto-generated response, they're going to mark it as read, and move on. So to try and make sure that Robert does actually see the message I'm trying to send to him, what I would do, personally, is I would just delete this first portion. So now it looks like something a human would type out. That's the name of the ticket, the name of the ticket, possible UPS alarm. And then it also has the ticket number. And then, of course, we have a field where we get to type out the email. Again, postponed until campus reopens. All right. I can do bold and italics and change fonts and all that fun stuff as well. And then we can go ahead and scroll down some more, and we have a few options here that we can change. For example, if I needed to attach a file, I have that option here where I can add an attachment. But if I didn't want to add attachments to the email for whatever reason, maybe the file size is too large to do that, I can check this little option here, which makes it a link instead of actually attaching it, and a couple of other fun little options like that. And then we just click send. It's going to send the message off to Robert. He'll be able to look at it and he can respond to it if he wants to. Once I click send, that box would disappear. I'm not doing that right now because I don't need to send Robert a message, but it would appear right here under messages at the very top. And then if you were to respond, this is, again, this right here under these messages, within that history tab is where his response is going to show up. And this enables us to communicate with our customers and our clients really, really easily. Now, one thing that you do want to make sure that you're doing when you're working within SysAid is staying on top of the status. Okay, so right now you can see this status is on hold, but we have in progress, what have you. So if for any reason it does get postponed or it gets placed on hold, you have to change the status of the ticket. Personally, I like to come down here and just send them a quick message saying, hey, I'm postponing this ticket for this reason. We'll get back to it at such and such a time. I hope you found this video educational and informational. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our help desk. And as always, thank you so much for watching.